Okay, I'm shooting this with the Sony a7 III. This is the Sony a7 IV. Got it just about a month ago now, and this has been my go-to camera for everything. This still gets used a lot. You'll see it if you watch me on TikTok, which I don't know why you would. I use this for various other things, but this is like my main go-to camera now. So right now it has a UHS-2 card in it. I just have a smaller card. There's 250. 256 isn't small per se. Hey there, focus. But 256 is good enough. I use this for Starlapse. So this is the card I use for Starlapse all the time, so I know not to. So I know that I can wipe it, and there's just one thing on it. That's just me being whatever. Now, let's see how well. So that's a high exposure. Okay, let's just do it 60, and then just change the ISO to whatever. So now, if you look right here, if you just, we'll take it off manual focus maybe. So if you look right here, you'll see the number count. So I'm not gonna do that because shooting ended. I have it set to interval shooting. Hold on. Let me turn off interval shooting. Okay. Now, if you look again, look here. Boy, this is my first YouTube video, so you have to bear with me. Okay, right here is the photo count. So okay, it's filled up the buffer, and it's writing off the buffer really fast. But you notice how there's a slight delay. It's shooting like a picture a second. It's not slow, but it's slowed down because the buffer on the camera is filled and it's trying to write to the card. The card only allows so much writing. Okay. Premise is set. This camera has a slot for CFExpress Type A. If you look online, you'll find a lot of B. I don't know if B would work. I don't know if it's compatible even. I didn't even bother looking, but I know A works. A is what you're supposed to have for a Sony camera. So I have the card in here. I'm going to take that out. You can't really see it, but the slot is larger, but it also can accommodate that type of a regular SD card, but it can also accommodate this. This is a Type A card. What I just said. Nobody's watching me on this anyway, so. Oops, I forgot to cut that label. And it says something in, I want to say that's Chinese, but I don't know enough about the language to tell you. I only know ni hao in Chinese, and I don't know how to spell it in the kanji. So here, Type A card, 256. Now this has a write of 400, so in theory that should be a lot faster, and this camera accommodates that. So also with it, you did not get an email. That was mine. That was work email, but it's always best to just ignore work emails when you can. So this is a reader. I realize I don't have a reader, so there's a package deal where you get the reader and the card. So I don't have a reader. We'll look at that in a second. These boxes are kind of funky. They're like this, what do you call it? Pressure board, but they have a veneer on them, so they look nice, but they're just a regular veneer board. If you were to drop it in the water, it would expand. Anyway, so I have this card. I've never had a card like this before. So I knew that this was an option, so I found the cheapest one, and I found it on sale. It was on cheaper for Black Friday, but I didn't buy anything for Black Friday or Cyber Monday at a principal. But here is this and a card. So I'll stick the card in here. Let's see how it goes. Oh, it might go this way. Oh, it does. So the label facing you. So raw card is, you can put at full raw, I can do 3,319 pictures. So let's go. I always like to, even though it sets up the card properly and blah blah blah, I always format the card first, just so that way it's absolutely clean and absolutely set for me. So now what I can do, again, keep your eye right around here. Let's see how fast it can go. So it's, well, you can see how many wrinkles I have on my head. Look at that. So it's still going super fast. Actually, you could probably do this. I could take all these images together in not Lightroom. Is it Lightroom? I use it every day, Lightroom Classic, and then make a time lapse with it. But you see, my finger has not let up off of this, and it is continually writing without buffering, nothing. This card is fast. It's as fast as advertised. I could burn through this. I could probably burn the battery before I burn the disk space. Well, man, that is not a huge amount of disk space. The nice thing about these cards, they go up to a terabyte. The bad thing about these cards is that they're about 3 times as much. But look at that. This is incredibly fast. 3,000. So I did around 300. No. Let's do some math. 3,319 minus 3,027. So in that time of me just blah blah blahing, I did 292 images. Wow. So this is a great card for when I'm doing birds or wildlife that just move. Birds are like, you know how birds are. I didn't have to do an imitation, but you know what birds. Birds, the things that fly around with the feathers. Those things are fast. This is fast. And now, with this card, it's super fast. Now, I did get the adapter because I feel that I'll get some good use out of this. But in theory, I can just hook the camera straight to my computer and download the pictures that way too. So you don't really need the adapter, but I feel it's better to just have it. So this is the cheapest one. I saw it on Sony Alpha rumors when it first they dropped their prices. I think it was the beginning of November. No, the end of like the middle of October, really. So I just had it and I just been circling it, and I was like, I'm gonna pull the trigger on that eventually. And then I bought the camera, and I was like, okay, this is the one I'm gonna get. There's other like. This is OWC card. If you ever have an OWC card and you see them on Amazon and they're a little bit cheaper, they work. I haven't had a problem with it. Normally I use PNY. PNY makes the same thing, but it was like $50 to $80 more. SanDisk's ones and Lexar one. I use a lot of Lexar cards for SDs. Way more expensive. Another like $50 to almost $100 more depending. You can probably find them cheaper, but it depends. This card is way more expensive, but as you saw with me just blah blah blahing, so it's 3,027. So let's get it focused on me and there. So let's do this for a solid minute and see how it goes. This is fascinating YouTube footage, but I don't care what you think, really. If that hasn't, I mean, that's the theme of my YouTube channel. I don't care what you think. I only am interested in doing stuff that interests me. This is living up to expectations. It's beating expectations. The price point is still rather expensive, but it's cheaper than the other brands. It's been going for about 45 seconds now, coming close to 50, getting up to a minute, almost a minute. About 10 seconds will be at a minute, and that thing has not slowed down one bit. 5 seconds to go, and the buffer hasn't engaged whatsoever. Everything's just dumping. There you go. There's a minute. Straight into the card. No buffering. Wow. Oh, so I started at 3,027. Now I'm at 2,732. So you can do the math there. Never buffered. The card lives up to the hype, and I didn't. It's still expensive, but it's not an arm and a leg's expensive. But like I said, eventually I'd love to get one of these when the prices are reasonable, to like get a 500 gig or a terabyte. That way you can just find some birds and get great pictures of them. You don't have to worry about a buffer, because every time you're taking a picture of a bird, it's not doing anything interesting, and you're shooting to try to get something. Because I'm not a professional photographer. I spray and pray. Sue me. I spray and pray, and I find it, and then the second the buffering acts, and you sit back for a second and wait for it to write. That's when the bird decides to like pose and like, whatever. You know how birds are. Anyway, this thing, it was the cheapest type A card there was on Amazon, at least as of when I'm doing this. This is like the beginning of December. It's December 8th to be exact. It was the cheapest card on Amazon. That's a type A card that's over 100 gigs. It's 260 gigs, obviously. And it works. So you see it and you're always kind of like, I don't know, that's a weird brand. I've never dealt with it. At least out of the box it works. I'm going to be taking as many pictures as I can with it and messing around with it as much as I possibly can. This expands the capabilities of this camera, the Sony a7 IV, and I'm excited to use it. But yeah, it looks like it works. I can just end the video with me taking pictures. Look at how wrinkly my forehead is.